All right, folks, we are here with another episode of Community Curation with our guest host, NovasaurusRexx. Welcome here, Nova. We finally got you on board.
Hi. I
We
know.
finally got you.
Finally.
It's it's finally great to have you on here. So we're gonna jump right into this new and shorter uh, take for Community Curations. Who is NovasaurusRexx, and where did you get your name from?
Oh God, the name.
Yeah, it's a very long name, and so it's like I wondered. It's like I know where the Nova part came from, but where...
Yes, Nova is actually my name. Um, but I got called by a friend in college. She said something and was like, "Oh, it's the Novasaur," and then it elongated to Novasaurus, and then Novasaurus Rex, and I was like, "Hey, that's cute." And so the two X's is because Novasaurus Rex with one X was taken.
so you had to
So
one up them with an extra X.
exactly.
That's awesome and everything. And how long have you been streaming on Twitch?
Um, I started sporadically in I think 2020. I was like here and there, and then I took a 6 month break when my computer kind of wasn't working so great, and then I came back more so in 21 and mostly doing it since. We won't count this year. This year's been
So
a different
like,
year.
did you start out doing gaming, or did you do the writing streams when you started?
uh I started out with gaming because I had been making gaming videos for YouTube, and then I had heard about Twitch and kind of was looking at it, but for a while was still that's a lot to try and do that live.
Mm-hmm.
Um so I was just making gaming videos, and then finally I was like, I'll do gaming Twitch. And then I found out that writers use Twitch too, and I was like, hey, I like that too. So I'm
So
like, okay, we can do both.
so I have a follow up for that.
Yeah.
Do you think for like when it comes to I guess us writers on Twitch that we have to kind of adhere a little bit to the gaming culture on here in order to bring in our or maybe not just bring in viewers but to find our own community? Like, do you think that we can't solely just be writers on here, that maybe we do have to kind of lean a little bit over to some gaming and everything in order to kind of give other followers like a bit more of a glimpse of who we are as a person as opposed to relying solely on just writing?
Um, I think maybe a few years ago, yes. But nowadays, there's such a strong writing community anyway now on Twitch that like there are streamers that solely do writing, and they have whole communities based off of just that. They only do that. And even if they do gaming, it's more of a hey, I wanted to try this game, and less so of building that
Okay.
community.
Yeah, because
So
I definitely felt that when I tried to start building up my Twitch community. I really wanted to do the movie talks, but like I didn't really. I was going off my console, and so I was like, well, you know
yeah.
what? I do like gaming, so I kind of always felt like, well, maybe if I bring in the gaming crowd, maybe I'll find some of the movie lovers in there, and then those that don't like movie chats, they can just weed themselves out.
I think also it's almost harder when you do multiple different things,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes those lines don't cross. Some gamers aren't writers, some writers aren't gamers.
Yeah.
So you kind of they become almost loose edges of sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not.
Yeah.
Whereas you're doing one specific thing, you tend to get that one specific audience. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like a pro and
I,
con.
I see that with like a lot of like how just how my community responds. Like there's some of them that they're not really big film lovers, or
Hmm.
maybe they just don't get it, and so they really only come during the days that I do just gaming. And then there's
Yeah.
some that are here and they're like, yes, like we support you. We may
Yeah.
not know what you're talking about, but we support you and we can sit in and we can learn. So it's like almost like, oh, we're sitting underneath the learning tree. which adds
Yeah.
pressure to me. It's like, hell. It's like, I gotta make sure I got my facts straight. I don't want them going around at parties. It's like, well, Méliès actually made the very first, horror film. And they're like, not really.
Right.
That was a melodrama.
Right.
Horror was not coined as a term until 1932. And I was like,
Mhm.
listen here, Becky, fuck off, bitch. And,
Right.
yeah.
There's a little bit more pressure there then.
Yeah, and everything, but yeah, I've always been curious because it's like you definitely have your writing crowds, and I see it in your community, and then you have your
Mhm.
gaming crowds, which
Yeah.
makes up me, cis, and Scorpy.
I don't have a very big crowd right now, so,
But I do pay attention to the writing. Like the writing, you bring in everyone. You bring in, and it's so great. And it's like, oh, so like it's we all grow at our
Yeah.
own lengths, and sometimes it takes like a specific thing of what we cover. And it seems like you
Yeah.
definitely hit some really great ground and made like a lot of really cool friends through Twitch, through the writing
Yeah.
stuff.
It definitely, I think, helped when I realized that I had ADHD, and like the time things helped me, like sprints.
Oh
And so
yeah.
I joined a bunch of other streams that did those, and so then, built those connections through there too. And those like tend to help a lot of people that I see. So doing those kind of things bring in a lot of people just because they're like, "Oh, I can sit here and work and stuff." And those are that I find has been a big, like, people will search out other people doing like co-working sprints, writing
Yes.
sprints.
Because sometimes those are just peaceful, even whenever like I'm just waking up in the morning, and maybe I
Yeah.
can't. Like it's not that I can't. It's just I don't think I can actually focus on while drinking my coffee and trying to be productive. Hearing someone call another person a cocksucker on COD
Right.
or Fortnite.
It's a little
It,
much that early.
yeah, and so it's like it's something of like, ooh, you listen to some nice maybe lo-fi music or whatever,
Yeah. It's
and
more of a chill vibe.
yeah, and everything, and I, I I have no clue what happened to my co-working streamers and everything. Some of them moved to gaming, and then
Mhm.
some of them just stopped, and I'm all like, I kind of miss those
Oh,
peaceful
well.
mornings, and I know you would drop like a few in, and so there'd be like days where it's like I'm not in a talking mood, but I'll drop a lurk and
Yeah.
while I'm drinking my
Yeah.
coffee, maybe reading a book, and and
Yeah.
whatnot. But so is also through here. Is this how you met Barely Bookish?
No, I met her on Twitter actually.
Ah, okay.
Before I even started streaming, yeah.
So did you convert her
Um
to the Twitch cult of writers?
yeah. I got her into Twitch,
Awesome.
yeah.
We need to bring her
We
back.
kind of were talking about it a little bit, and then I started, and so then she slowly like came along with me. Like she was one of my first mods, I think. Um and then I know she plans on coming back at some point. So,
I really hope she does like streams that are not just writing and gaming based, but like arm wrestling. Because
oh my
I
god.
mean, if it's
Yeah.
just her and her fiance husband and everything,
Yeah.
if it's just them just training, I'm like over here like we can all like start gambling away our points and everything. It's like it's like I got my
Who's gonna
prediction
win?
on her
Yeah,
husband and
right.
everything. And um, so when did you get into YouTube?
I don't remember the first time I posted a video. I think it was like 2018 or 19 for gaming specifically. Um, YouTube always was an interest to me since like middle and high school when like YouTube was first starting to come, like, you had Jenna Marbles that everybody would watch, and like
Yeah, all the people that
some
are
of the other
canceled
ones.
now.
Yeah, right. Um I always thought that was like funny and stuff, and so like I'd make little short videos on like an old channel, and I was like, oh, like these will be fun, and like I'd make like little music videos and stuff and post those, and so that's been going on since like 2011, maybe 2012 that I
Wow.
started posting. Yeah. I kind of took breaks here and there. Couldn't really figure out what I was doing. And then the gaming and the writing channel are kind of the two that I have now. that just...
Is there any chance we could see 2011 Nova like YouTube videos, or are those like hidden in a vault away?
Oh no, they're still on there.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna have
They're
to
still
sit there and check
public.
those out. I'm gonna have to check those out.
I
So
so
2011 is about your gap of when you were like a YouTube creator, starting to get into it. 2018 was the gaming.
mhm.
The vlogs, I'm guessing, were maybe what, a few years ago when you started doing those.
The writing ones, I think it was like around 20. I don't remember when I picked up the writing ones, but that same channel, I was doing like a book channel at first, and I was doing that in like 2015, 2016, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think around 1920, I might have switched it to writing more.
Okay. I
So,
try to get into the book YouTube world, and they're, I hate to say it, their production value is not nearly as good. It's always like there's no graphics that pop up, or if it is, it's really terrible. It's all like, oh
mhm.
god, like you could have probably spent maybe an extra minute or two polishing that animation, but
Yeah.
it's like, ah, but it's a book person. They don't know technology. It seems, they just know
Yeah.
upload.
A lot are just doing like also like little vlogs. So like, here, this is what I was doing, and not
Yeah.
like a whole lot of, you know, well, it's what more so I do. Like I do a lot of um like vlog style, and then occasionally I'll do something bigger that I'll do put more effort into it, but
You
the
do like
vlogs are
some
kind of
really
like
good
glue
editing
together.
for like work. Like there's some like collage stuff that gets done, and it's like
Mhm.
I can at least sit there and say Nova's trying here. But when I look at the rest of like the maybe I'm looking at the wrong people, but like if I like look at anyone that wants to talk about Stephen King's Dark Tower, it's always some bald man in the corner of his office.
Oh my god. Yeah, apparently you're
It's
finding the wrong ones.
yeah, and like I'm like over here, it's like, dude, it's like I thought my room had an airy, like echoey sense, like an echo
Mhm.
chamber. This dude's like, I like to talk, and it's all like, oh my god, there's some emphasis that needs to be dropped, you
Right.
know. Um,
Yeah.
but we've mentioned writing on Twitch and everything. So when did you start becoming a writer, and how long have you been at it?
Basically, as long as I can remember, my mom saved a little like book that's sticky notes stapled together where I was writing its scribbles because I didn't know letters yet. But like I'd be like, "Look, mom, this is the story," and like I'd read it to her. So like basically as soon as I could hold like a crayon, I was creating my own stories and writing them down. Well, scribbles, but and then like first grade, I on printer paper wrote and drew out a whole like little book and brought it in for the class to read, and it's just been constant.
You've been the
So
independent writer since young. Because
yeah.
like the way you describe it is like, isn't that technically what we do? But we replace the crayons with, you know, I guess our journals,
Right,
and
yeah.
or we're just typing it up like on a word processor,
Mhm.
yeah. So that early on and everything, is there a story that you've written, published or not, that you think you would definitely want to sit there and share it with us one day?
Um, I mean, most of them I would like obviously love to. I think the one I'm most excited to like share is I've got like a dark survival apocalyptic one I'm working on.
Ooh.
You know what one I'm talking about because I sent it to you a long time ago.
That's right. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
That one, like, I need to get back working on that one, but I think that one is probably one of the most excited I'm excited for to like share and like get out there.
But before we jump into the movies, how many works in progress do you have that
We
you can
don't
at
want
least
to
share?
answer that question.
We don't answer that question. You have multiple projects in various stages of development, as what my
uh,
my professor would say.
just go with 20 and call it. Like,
I feel that.
um,
I feel that too, because I have like a story that you probably have like heard is like, oh, that sounds really cool, and then you never hear me talk about it because I have it hidden
yeah,
somewhere,
there's
either
been a few.
on a flash drive or whatever, or maybe I've
Hmm.
burnt it. Maybe I've like, I'm taking these pages, burn it. It's like, that's garbage. That's a dumb idea, and everything. Yeah,
Yeah, there's a few. I'm like, where did this one go? And you're like, oh, I got rid of that one like 3 months ago. I'm like, why? Bring it back.
I'm trying to at least have one piece of work in progress that can be finished, because
Yeah,
you've been able, you have like two books out that we'll
yeah.
get to later throughout the plug, and I'm like over here, it's like I am 31 years old, 31 and a half. No, that's wrong. My birthday was just a few
31 in
months ago.
like a month.
I'm fucking old, and I don't know how old I am, apparently. So that's where we're at here. I swear, I've had my
Yeah.
coffee today. But, I'm 31, and I still, like, to me, I still haven't, published a book. And I'm like over here, it's like, I really need to get off my ass. It's that, or I need to start publishing the screenplays as audio dramas and everything. And,
Yeah, you can do that for sure.
start doing that and everything. But it's
Yeah.
like, I like look at it as like, there's this young person over here with so much talent, so much publication, and I'm like looking over here, it's like, what the hell do you have to the table, you sack of shit? And I'm like, I'm
I
working
mean,
on it. I'm working on it.
I do that myself. There's like people that went to college after me that the college is like, look, they're publishing like their third book, like traditional published. And I'm like, wow, like, or I've been reading a lot of poetry and they're like, oh, this 20-year-old, this is like their fifth book. And I'm like, hello? Like, where have I been existing?
Right? And it's that kind of like it's that darker side of us that when we start doing the comparative thing, and it's like, oh, you're doing it
Yeah.
again. You need to stop. You need to stop
Right.
doing it. That's actually going to hinder your ass even more. And so that
Right.
I already know the answer to why I don't have no published work. Comparison, perfectionism, you know,
Hmm.
like
Oh, yeah.
I read mostly King, and I'm over here. It's like, I want to sound like King, but I also want to sound like Poe, but I don't want to come off as a racist as H.P. Lovecraft. So there's so many
Right.
there's so many
Yeah.
avenues to go with it, and it's all like,
Yep.
and but we're gonna jump right into some films that Nova has picked out for us and everything. And the first one, which I find it very odd, and we have a little funny story to share with this, is Ruben Fleischer's superhero film Venom with Tom Hardy. Now,
Yeah.
how much of this did you enjoy that it was a comic book film, and how much of this was Tom Hardy fever?
Um, when I first started liking it, it was completely just because of the movie. It had nothing to do with Tom Hardy. My liking for Tom Hardy came after. Like,
Really?
so, yeah.
Was it this film that made you like him, or was it another film?
A little bit of this one, and then I remember like seeing him in some other things. He's in Dunkirk, which is also one of my favorites, and I didn't even realize it was him.
Yeah, because I
And I
definitely
was
have like
like,
the little.
oh, okay.
He has the little
Yeah,
mask
he's
on.
got the
Yeah,
flight mask on like the
yeah,
whole film until like the last like 2 minutes or something.
yeah.
So I never put it together it was him. And then like just like other like little things that I liked, I realized he was in, and so I kind of started looking into him more, and I was like, definitely like this guy. So
So,
yeah.
what draws you to Venom? What draws you to Marvel's brain-eating anti-hero? Ex-brain-eating, technically.
X-Men. I actually didn't think I was gonna like this. I went to the movies with someone, and at the point it came out, I was kind of just like not interested in Marvel a whole lot because I felt like they kind of did the same thing over and over and over again, and like they'd
Formulaic.
introduce someone new, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, now they're brought into the fold, and it's like, can't we just do something new? And so I went with someone else to see Venom, and I was like, okay, this is gonna go the same way, And then it actually was, I really enjoyed it. Like this, like the lost the word, goodbye word. um,
Welcome to the brain, to the mind of a writer, because half the damn time we're
um, like the way the scenes were shot and like
okay.
just the visuals
The
and how well,
cinematography.
like, it was all done. That's the word, yes!
Generally,
I
when
was like, "It
most of
starts
my
with a
friends,
C, and that's it."
they're like, I like the way it was shot. I'm trying to think of it. I was like, cinematography. Yes, that long word that I'm probably
I
misspell, and it's like,
literally
yeah.
had it in my head until I went to say it, and then I heard C, and I'm like, "Where's the word?" Like, it starts with a C, that's it. There's nothing there. Great. Yeah, just like the visuals, everything, how it was done, just like how the plot went so well, the characters were done, and I was like, "Okay, I like this." And then I kind of like honestly didn't give it much more thought until I had watched the second one, and then I went back and watched it again, and I was like, "Wow, like I really enjoy this. Why don't I watch this ever?" So then
So,
I kind of started watching it over and over
do you prefer
again.
this over Let There Be Carnage?
I think so, but I don't think there's really a reason behind it more so than I could easily access the Venom, the first one, and Carnage. I could not at the time when I really started getting back into it. So I kind of would just watch Venom over and over and over.
Like, I remember
So,
the first one had some like really good action pieces. Like when he would go
hmm,
down that iconic road in San Francisco where it's just the dips, and he just flies and he loses the motorcycle, and then the symbiote pulls it
yeah,
right back in. I was like, okay,
yeah,
that's at least cool. Even though like the villain is like your generic like corporate villain and
yeah.
everything, but like there were some moments of that and everything. It's kind of weird to have like another symbiote as like your first villain, but I was kind of
Hmm.
glad they didn't just go immediately with Carnage. I was like, come on, like let's work our way
Yeah.
towards
Yeah.
the best, right next to Venom, the best symbiote that came out of it, his child and everything,
Yeah.
Carnage and everything. And then they brought in, what was it, Scream?
Scream, yeah,
or
I think that was
or I think Scream was in the
Screech
first
Screech
one and
something.
everything, where because that was Eddie's woman that he's been trying
She
to
was in
get.
Carnage, yeah.
Yeah, and everything, and she gets the symbiote on her, and she becomes Scream. Um, so
No, not in the movies, no.
no, not in the movies. I thought she wore
No.
one.
No, not in the movies anyway.
Oh, okay, okay. So like were you not like a fan of Venom before seeing this movie in the comics? Like, did you have like any knowledge or anything about him, or did the film give you enough of an interest
I
that you looked into that?
I kind of knew a little bit because I knew it came from Spider-Man, and I was kind of really glad and impressed at how they separated the two for Venom, the movie, like how it was very much could exist in its own world.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was really nice to kind of cut a little bit from the rest of the chaos, Marvel was doing. I did not really look into it until after I got into like the movie and everything, and more so because like I'd look at stuff online and they'd talk about, oh, like the very end of Carnage is the introduction to this character, and I was like, who's this character? Like, how do you put this together? And
Yeah,
so then I started kind of looking into the actual like Venom comics, and I read quite a few of them.
I think the Lethal Protector, the very first Venom series they did, was a really good one. There was one I read. It wasn't even a Venom comic, but he was a guest star in it. It was
Yeah.
him versus Ghost Rider, and they were fighting in the sewers. And I was like,
Oh my
"Oh,
god.
this is creepy," because for one, you got a guy with a flaming skull, and it's more of
Hmm.
the like, it's the Ghost Rider that I think a lot of people know, but it's not Johnny Blaze. It's his half brother Danny, and he's just like
Yeah.
in the sewers looking. And I remember in the comic, like all you sit there and you see from right behind him is just that long tongue as like it drips, like
Oh my god.
and it's
Yeah.
like it's such beautiful artwork, and it's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
That's whenever I started becoming like fans of him, when they started like incorporating a lot of like those Marvel anti-heroes or just like those darker characters into the supernatural. I'm like,
Mhm.
fuck yeah, you know. It's like
Right.
that was the immediate buy for me. So about the new Venom movie, would you like to sit there and share with the class The funny story on how
funny story.
how you
Oh my
predicted
god.
that one, like.
Oh, how I manifested the trailer for everybody. We were just like one night chatting like this,
Mm-hmm.
and we got talking about how the third one was coming out in October, and like, oh, like shouldn't there be a trailer out by now or something? You know, something to have to like a visual by now. There's usually one, and the next day I woke up and the trailer was dropped, and I was like, hey.
Because
Is
like I
that
remember
good?
when we were talking, like Scorpy was so zoned out, and she's like, "I'm gonna go to bed, guys," and like I think we
Yeah.
kind of like talked like a few more minutes afterwards, and then we locked
Yeah.
off too, and yeah, by
Yeah,
morning,
because they're like, why is there nothing out? Like, this seems weird, you know, cutting it
is
close.
it
So when,
coming
you
out
know,
in October?
your
Is it
trailer
come?
drop. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. I
and
think
this
it's like the
one's
25th,
is it
I
okay?
think.
Like it's funny because like they're now going like a musical approach or something like that. What was it, like the final music or like the last dance? Venom, the
The
last
Last
dance.
Dance. Yes.
Yeah, I really hope that there's no breakdancing scene with Venom.
Oh my
Like you know
god.
what they tried to do with Stark in Iron Man 2, where like he's like jamming, and it's their version of the Demon in the Bottle storyline where he's dealing with
Mhm.
alcoholism, and it's
Yeah.
like he's just like having all these hot girls like control his suit to fire shit, and I'm like,
Oh my god.
don't let that happen, because I was a bit iffy on Let There Be Carnage. When the fight scenes were going on, that was good. But anytime it tried to instill
Yeah.
some form of melodrama, it felt like I was watching some type of weird 80s TV show.
It was very structured like a rom-com, and if you watch
Yeah.
it thinking of that, it's like, oh, okay, this makes a lot more
And it's
sense.
like, where the fuck is the romance in it? It's like, is it Cassidy and his woman? It's just the most, like I can't say the most
No,
fucked up
it's
because I've seen
supposed to
Natural
be
Born
Eddie and
Killers.
Venom.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because,
Yeah,
like,
so if you look at their story throughout it as like a bit of a rom-com,
okay.
it makes a lot more, like, I start telling people that and they're like, that makes more sense.
Yeah,
It's like, yeah,
I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch that because I think my buddy has that. I'm gonna have to rewatch it with that thought in mind of rom
yeah,
com Venom. But
yeah.
overall, what did you think about the Venom villain of Riot? Before we move on, what did you think about the lighter shade of gray that was Venom? You know, because essentially that's all that he was. He was just a lighter shade. You
I know. He
know,
was like a like lightly orange. He wasn't very like distinct. Like the other three were so distinct, and he was like, I think the first time I saw it, I was like, wait, who is that? What one is that? So
yeah,
he just
because
kind of was generic.
yeah, and I didn't even know Riot was a symbiote spinoff. Like I knew some of the I knew some of them, but like I didn't know them all. Thank you, Sam, for the raid. Uh, but yeah, like
Yeah.
you just thought he was just generic bad guy, number one.
Yeah, because like, you know, you spent so much, I mean, obviously you spent time with him as he's like moving through people to get to San Francisco, but you don't really see him. And then like the other ones you see because they're like talking about them, they're putting them into
Y-
rabbits, they're putting them into people. And so they're very distinct.
Yeah,
And then he kind of shows up and you're like, wait,
I
is
think the
this one of the other ones? Like what? You
yeah.
know, if you're not fully paying attention, like you can kind of get a little
I
lost
remember
in
there was a
translation.
homeless person that I think was supposed to play Toxin or something like that, or I think maybe that's what the cop is supposed to be from the end of Venom
Yeah,
2.
the cop is supposed to be it. Yeah.
But there was supposed to be like a somewhat famous symbiote in the first one that essentially they were like, oh, it's not bonding with you very well. He's gonna die, and then of course that's how Venom gets onto him and everything, and it's like, oh wow, you felt very sorry for the guy and everything.
Yeah. They killed a lot of homeless people in
Yeah,
that
and
one.
to be honest, I felt like that movie could have actually had a conversation about the population issue of the homeless
Yeah.
and everything, and then you could have done something that wasn't a pharmaceutical thing. You could have did that as like a well, is this like how the cops handle the homelessness? Like, is this like a politician? I kind of felt like they could have
Yeah.
handled that a little bit different, other than the, oh well, there's some scientist government shit. They want their crap back.
Yeah.
Eddie stole it. Eddie's like, I don't want it. You can take it. And I think that's an actual
Right.
conversation. I don't want this. You can have it. And then Venom's like, no, and like he just stays on him, and it's like,
Yeah, he's trying to like submit. He's like putting his hands up, and Venom's like, "You're embarrassing us." And he's like, "No, I need to put him on." And he's like, "No, put him down." And so
it's
he's
like
like, they're fighting, and the people
all
are
the
like, "What is
tendrils are
going on?"
coming out and just like attacking everyone. Which I
Yeah.
can give those movies that prop. If would I have rewritten that? Yes, I would, because I feel like the whole, just because it's a superhero film and the anti-hero is part alien, we have to introduce some form of a scientist in a pharmaceutical thing.
Yeah.
It's all like, come on guys, like I've seen this in Resident Evil get played out. It's never a long running storyline. Generally
Yeah.
it's like, maybe 3 games, that's it, let's move the fuck on.
Right.
It's all like, quit
Right.
dragging this shit out, you're beating a dead horse.
Yeah.
And to transition into our dead horse, uh,
Oh God. Segue.
segueing into our next film, Warhorse, which is a Steven Spielberg film. I've kind of noticed that my community definitely loves Spielberg.
He does
I've
really
had
good.
previous. Yeah, I mean, he's one of the best filmmakers of our time and everything.
Mhm.
So this one, I kind of knew a little bit of it, but for once, I'm gonna sit there say the synopsis of this because I think almost everyone knew the Venom one. A young farm boy enlists to serve in World War One after his beloved horse is sold to the cavalry. His hopeful journey takes him out of England and onto the front lines as the war rages on. Is this a book? I felt like when I
It
looked this
is.
up, that's what I thought. I was like, this
It
feels
is
like
based
a
on the book.
book. Did you read the book?
Yes. I did not read the book.
Okay. So why did you pick Warhorse outside of beating a dead horse?
Outside of, I just loved how well it was done. The story is great because it's kind of like telling the war through the horse's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a new take of, war movies can be really fun, action packed and stuff, but like over time, like they a lot of them tend to end up very similar, at least in
Yeah.
my opinion. You're telling a different part of the war maybe, but it still kind of has the same plot line. And so I was like, oh, okay, like obviously I'm interested in horses, so I was kind of intrigued anyway. But I was like, all right, like this actually seems like it's really good, and I really enjoyed it because it is a very different take of the war. You're not seeing you would see some of the front lines, you see some of like the back stuff that you don't usually see. You see how it affects the people in the areas. So it's not just like, fighting each other all the time. You get all of the different like, there's a scene where they're charging the enemy
Mm-hmm.
and the enemy surprises them and they lose most of the like section of the army. And then the horse becomes like pulls a medical tent for a while, and then some of the kids run away, and so you get to see like what happens when you abandon the army. And
They
then
they were looking at
it goes,
different sides of
yeah,
just that,
you get like, yeah, you get
it
like
wasn't
how it
your
affects different people.
typical, like, because I believe Spielberg did Saving Private Ryan, correct? Or did he executive produce that, if I remember correctly?
I don't remember exactly what he did on that, but yeah, I think he definitely.
Yeah, and so like that one, I feel like that's the epitome of like a war picture. Outside of like some of
Mhm.
the older ones, like Tora, and The Dirty Dozen, and so it definitely seems, because I was trying to watch some of these films. I've never seen War Horse, but now it feels like I got to, because of the different perspectives and just following this animal along, um, as kind of
Yeah,
like their eye on like how they view everything. Um, yeah, that sounds very interesting, because the war films, you can tell them all about
yeah,
the same, like at the end of the day, it is what it is. But that definitely sounds interesting to sit there and bring in, through an animal's perspective, because obviously that's like grander than what it is. It's, the
yeah.
audience can sympathize, because it's like, well, this horse can't really defend itself. I mean, it could, but it can only kick a few knots. No, this is World War One. It can only kick a few Germans in the head, um,
Mhm.
before like sooner or later they just send him to the glue factory.
Yeah.
Pardon for the dark humor today, folks. The very dark humor and everything. And for other horse enthusiasts, I don't really mean that they all need to go to the glue factory. Um, but is there like a specific moment of this film that what kind of to like to you it's like this is why I love this film so much? Is there a specific scene?
Um, there's a few different ones I think I could like immediately think of. Um, there's one like in the very beginning where they're trying to plow the field, and basically like if they don't plow the field, they're gonna lose the house.
Mm-hmm.
And like everyone's out watching them, and they finally manage to do it. Like, obviously in like cinematic fashion of, oh, it's over, everyone's leaving, and then they manage to do it. Um, that one was really
Is this
good.
the horse's original owner and everything?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. This is like before it gets sold to the war. Um, and then like during the war, there's a couple scenes. One where it's with like a young girl. The horses are with a young girl, and just like the way she interacts and is so like sassy to her grandfather is just hilarious. He's telling her like, no, you can't jump the horses, and she's like, I built this jump in the yard and I'm going to jump the big one over it. And he's
Oh
like,
my
oh.
god.
So
Very
just their
determined.
dynamic is their dynamic is
Was
adorable.
there just something wrong with the horse that it was the reason it got sold off to the military? Was it just not like I guess it seemed like a farmer's kind of horse?
They end up losing the crop, the harvest.
Mm.
Like they end up plowing the field, they harvest it, well, they get a really bad rain and it basically washes it all away. And so they
Oh,
still
so
have
it's
to
not even the horse's
pay.
fucking fault. It's just the farmer's.
No, they needed money, and the war was buying horses because they needed it for war. So
Oh, that's sad.
yeah, the
I hope
dad
that
of
farmer
the
got cholera or
boy,
something.
the dad took the horse without the boy knowing and sold it, and the boy tried to enlist and he wasn't old enough. So
So
like,
did he then kind of pull like the Captain America and he went off either way, like
he does end up in the war later on as he does get older.
Oh,
And
so he had to wait regardless. Oh,
yeah.
all right.
So he tried to sign up, but they were like, you're not old enough. And he was like, I look it.
I look at yeah. I wonder
He's
how
like,
many
I can
times
do
they
a
heard
lot.
that.
Right.
Um,
So
Interesting. I'm definitely gonna have to check this out. Steven Spielberg makes wonderful, wonderful films and makes you feel definitely for not just humans but for the animals or just the
yeah.
anthropomorphic. Like even E.T. I may have fell asleep quite a bit from E.T., but E.T. did have some really, really good moments.
Right. Yeah.
For that, and I definitely feel like with someone of the storytelling caliber as Spielberg, that Spielberg could fucking make you feel sympathy and love for an ant.
He does
That
really good
yeah.
just making the movies too. I know this one, it said it was like there's 3 parts that are like 3 seconds each that are special effects, and the rest was done like on set.
Oh really?
And it was for the horses' safety, not so much
Yeah.
like they could have done it, but like, what's the risk? And I know it was like, I think his first digitally edited film. Like normally he'd do the old like,
Yeah.
film
And
cutting.
camera tricks and all practical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, those like 3 little spots. It's like, oh, that's interesting. That's
But it is
special
interesting
effects.
that
Like,
he only used those and he used them so wisely that they are only 3 seconds for, whatever
yeah,
parts. And it's not some big global one like, say, Venom, where it's 2 symbiotes fighting on a tower. And I was like, oh, I
that's
bet
just
you
like,
that
oh,
took
special
months to
effects.
do.
Like,
Like,
right.
Spielberg's like, I'll do you one better and I'll do it in 3 seconds. And it's all like, and then people are
Mhm.
like, where is it? It's like, oh, you gotta find it. That's a needle in a haystack right there.
There's a couple you can kind of like figure out of maybe that was it, because the horse is in war, and they're shooting tanks and stuff. Like,
The horses are shooting the tanks or the.
no, not the horses. The people are shooting. Oh dear God.
I need that. I need that Ren and Stimpy cartoon where when Mr. Horse is just in there, like just firing on all cylinders. Like, yeah.
Right.
My
BoJack
God.
Horseman goes to war.
Oh, come on. I want to feel good. No, I don't know if I want to feel good a feel good war picture. There's nothing to feel good about. But if I'm gonna watch some BoJack Horseman, God, I'm gonna need a therapist after that. I still haven't
Right.
finished that series. It's good, but it's so
Uh,
depressing. It's
the
so
last
down
the
to
last
earth.
series really will get you. The last season really gets you. It,
Especially, I think I dropped off after he tried to hit on his daughter, and he didn't realize that was his daughter or something like that. And I was like, bro, what the fuck? It's like, yeah. I was
yeah.
like, So, we're gonna move over to our final film,
Yeah.
which is, I figured it would be from you, but I haven't seen this film in quite some time. The Perks of Being a Wallflower. I was waiting for that coming of age, because of course I figured almost every film that you were gonna mention was gonna be a horse, and it's like, oh nope, she
I
had to prove
know.
me wrong. She had to change it up. So we have Perks of a Wallflower by Stephen. Is it Chbosky? Chbosky?
I think it's Chbosky, yeah.
Chbosky and everything. It's a coming-of-age romantic drama where Charlie, a 15-year-old introvert, enters high school and is nervous about his new life. When he befriends his seniors, he learns to cope with his friend's suicide and his tumultuous past. This is like Ezra Miller, and it's
Yeah.
what was it? Hermione Granger.
Emma Watson.
Emma Watson, and I forgot who the other one. I think he's supposed to be the main character, correctly, because I think it's Ezra
Yeah.
Miller that is the troubled youth.
No, Ezra Miller is one of the seniors. Charlie, God, who plays him?
I have his face. He has like one of those recognizable faces, but when people tell you what's his name, and it's like, I don't fucking know.
Right? I'm like,
That's very common in today's Hollywood and everything. It's like, I've seen that face before. I don't know who the fuck he is though. And but yeah, like at first the
Logan
movie
Lerman.
Logan Lerman.
Yeah.
That name does not sound. I'm pretty sure I've seen him though in a bunch of films, because I believe he did like a bunch of coming of age dramas. But this film was written by the director like back in the '90s and everything, and then he adapted it like about 10 years or so later, which generally that is a high risk. There's like, I think only a few other directors that I know that both wrote the script but also wrote the book and everything. And of course, the one that shines me the most is William Peter Blatty, who did The Exorcist and did Legion, which was The Exorcist 3. And The Exorcist 3, folks, like, you guys know, it's one of my favorite films. I've showcased it before in the Discord. Go watch it. It's fucking phenomenal. Why did you pick The Perks of Being a Wallflower?
This one I picked because it's one of like my like comfort movies. When it's kind of like I want to put something on, but like I don't want to have to pay attention to it. But like if I want to pay attention to it, it's something I like, kind of thing.
Yeah.
This one's also one that I tend to watch like if I'm going to bed and like I just want to like be calm, because it is very unlike, you know, Venom and War Horse that are action.
Yeah.
This one is very much more mellow. And like even like the soundtrack for it is very like light and I mean kind of sad, because like there's a lot of sad stuff in this, but it's very just kind of like toned down. You know, there's not a lot of loud noise and a lot of like action happening. So
He kind of also gave me a bit of what is it, the Virgin Suicides with Kirsten Dunst. That was the vibe that I was getting from it, like a little bit. Like, it's totally two totally different stories, but it's still that coming of age. Like, it just looks, I don't want to say soft, because the subject matter is like very dark and serious. And everything.
The subject matter is very...
and that's what both films definitely tackle on and everything. But like, it kind of gives me like, I don't know if Sofia Coppola directed that one, but that's what like these types of films remind me of and everything. It's not like you're of that era where, you know, Juno had already happened, I think 2 years after this movie I think came out and everything. And so like, to I think most people, including me, that was my coming of age teen drama. It was watching Juno and everything, like, you know, and then like I see this and it's like, I missed this somewhere in my teen years and everything. But
it was not as popular. Like, it kind of like got, it was kind of like a, back burner film, or like people knew about it, but like wasn't really like I didn't watch it until I think almost college, so I think it had been out for a while before I had finally watched it.
Is there something specific to this movie that it's like endearing, or something that this is also like, it's like that one scene that when I watch this, it's like I can't wait to see this scene, you know? Like, what is that gotcha hook scene for this movie?
I think it's gotta be. Oh God, I can almost like picture it, but like there's a scene where they like are going on to winter break or something, and it's kind of like a compilation of little scenes of just them like celebrating and whatnot.
Montage.
Yeah, and like just the like different little pieces of that. There's one that they get all excited about, and it's just like kind of just like the epitome of friendship of, the guy got like a C minus or something, and they're like all screaming and like happy about it. So it's like just seconds long, but
It's those
that was
little
immediately
things
what came to mind.
that the
Yeah.
montage highlights in a friendship, and it's like, even if you made a C, it's like I passed, you know.
Yeah.
I feel that I especially like in high school, like I've had some friends group where it's like, oh, I don't know if we're really gonna pass this class at the end and everything, and
Mhm.
like even though it's not an A or a B, it's like, yeah, I got a fucking D, yeah, I passed.
Right? It's like, hell yeah.
And like some people are
I
like
gotta take it
that,
again.
yeah, you know, it's all like, it's like it was better than failing, like, you know, I'll take,
Right. Yeah.
you know, out of context, I'll take the D instead of the F, so it's like
Right. Exactly.
um so we're gonna wrap this up with Nova. What are the socials that you are on?
um, Pretty much all of my socials. I can't say that
How
word.
is that stroke?
Um, something. They're pretty much all Novasaurus Rex,
Okay.
I think.
TikTok,
Yeah.
Twitter, or is it
Yeah.
X now? I have no fucking damn clue.
I always just call it Twitter.
Yeah, it's always gonna be Twitter to us
You
and
know,
everything.
everyone else I think calls it Twitter, except for like, corporations that are like,
Elon Musk.
don't want to get sued.
It's
Right.
like on Twitter, and Elon's looking at him, and I was like, I mean X, X,
Mm-hmm.
X, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the.
Right.
It's not A, right? No, of course not. Like, um, is there any books that are gonna come out soon that you want to plug for us?
I'm hoping to have another poetry one by the end of the year, but like the way my year is going, we're not gonna say yes.
Well, we're
Every time I
hope
turn around, it's something new. So like
w-
hopefully
as much
we'll have it.
as you
But
have put out there in the world that we were gonna get that Venom 3 trailer that one night. We're putting it out here right now. Nova will be getting her poetry book out before the end of the year.
look, if it worked that way for me, this year would be a lot different. It apparently only works for movie trailers, so
Well, we're pushing it
but
really, really hard
okay.
this time. We're pushing it for a fucking book. We're pushing it that you
Okay.
get a book done and I get some form of a short story or short film. You know, not made, but because
Yeah.
that's already too late. To get at least one ready and prep, maybe,
Yes.
for filming.
We got this.
Now, here's the second most difficult question: is there
Hmm.
any books that are coming out that you are looking forward to?
My favorite author has been writing adult books now, but like I don't know when it's supposed to be coming out. I know she's been working on it. But like it doesn't have a title or anything yet. I just know soon ish.
Soonish.
Yeah, I am so bad at keeping up with what's coming out in books nowadays unless it's a series.
I never know because
Um
they don't advertise it to me like they do with movies or
and
TV
no, they're
shows.
not very
It's
good
like
with
it's
that.
always some really bad CGI freaking like 30-second trailer, and it's like, really, is this what the budget went into? I could do this on a budget of $0
Right.
and
Yeah.
everything, and it's just, it's gonna cost for me to sit there and have to pay X and Facebook and all of Meta just to like,
Right.
hey, can you guys filter this shit through? Even for the people that
Right.
don't read books, or the people that believe all books should be burned because, you know, they only believe in the one book. Let's throw that out there because this book will piss them off. Like, you know, let's just
There's
do
no
that.
such thing as bad publicity.
Exactly, you know, because at least then, if the people are like, "Oh, the Christians hate it," well, we gotta read it. You know, it's like
You know, if they're circulating it, people are gonna be like, "Why do we hate this book? What's going on here?
that
What
man
do we
loved
need
his
to
damn
like
dog
think?"
too damn good. You know,
Oh God.
he loved his dog and died for him when you could only die for one thing in life.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not gonna say the name because that name makes me lose a bunch of followers.